2015 is a year that most of us can relate to with good memories, especially for Star Wars fans. With a brand new trilogy, new show, and most relevant to this video, the first true Battlefront game in 10 years. EA were given the task of bringing this franchise to next-gen consoles, with new visuals and new gameplay to reel in veterans and new players. Pandemic's Battlefront 2, for a while and still by many, is considered the best Star Wars game. So, could this Battlefront game, solely focused on the original trilogy, deliver the Star Wars nature people wanted to see in a Battlefront game? Well, kind of. This game is beautiful, and even 7 years later the graphics still hold up, and are even comparable to new games released today. The flagship mode, Walker Assault, was truly incredible and praised by many for its immersive gameplay and large-scale 20v20 combat. However, despite all the praise, there was no shortage of criticism. With only 6 launch heroes present, a lack of weapons, and only 4 planets to choose from, it was clear that the game was lacking content. Not to mention the complete lack of a campaign, it was clear that this game was rushed out the door to coincide with the release of The Force Awakens. Did this affect the gameplay? No, not really. The gameplay was smooth and comparable to recent shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield. With wonderful maps and engaging hero gameplay, many were simply disappointed in the lack of content within a launch game, something EA were going to change very soon. About a month before the game's release, EA announced 4 scheduled DLCs that would be added to the game in a span of a year, available to players who purchased the Season Pass, which costed around $50 USD. While some updates would be free, many players were outraged about the idea of paid content and were hesitant on purchasing the DLC. Sure, the content might be great, but was it really worth the cost of an entirely new game itself? EA were always known for their greedy microtransactions, and players were worried on the future of Battlefront in EA's hands. The first of 4 planned DLCs was the Outer Rim DLC, released on March 22, 2016. Players remained skeptical, as this DLC failed to add any new planets to the small roster already present in the launch game. On top of that, EA revealed that the 2 heroes that would be added in its first DLC, Nien Nunb and Greedo. Nien Nunb, the pilot who got a little over a minute of screen time in The Return of the Jedi, and Greedo, who got probably less than a minute of screen time in A New Hope before being shot by one of our main characters. Fans were outraged that heroes like Chewbacca and Lando were left behind for characters that most people never really paid great attention to, and to be fair, they had every right. However, all these concerns and criticisms were quickly replaced with enjoyment and praise, as the DLC had been the best content update for the game so far. The Outer Rim DLC came out with 4 brand new primary weapons added to the game, 2 of them being available for any player regardless if they own the Season Pass. In order to unlock these weapons, players would have to complete a brand new addition to the game, HUT contracts. After purchasing a contract, the player receives a select amount of challenges to complete in order to unlock the gun. Upon completion, you'll receive a pop-up notifying you of your completed challenge, along with a message from Jabba congratulating you. The first free weapon we'll be looking at today is the DL-18, a semi-automatic blaster pistol with medium range. If you recognize this blaster, it's because it was added to Battlefront 2 in 2020, and fell victim to the nerf everything fun from Battlefront 2015. This weapon made a brief appearance in Return of the Jedi, used by Luke to threaten Jabba, and also mained by Kanan Jarrus in Star Wars Rebels. Unlocking this weapon requires you to achieve 3 blaster pistol streaks, along with 15 kills with the Scout Pistol Star card. The DL-18 deals 41 to 15 damage with a rate of fire of 300 rounds per minute. Start off drop damage begins at 20 meters and ends at 40, allowing you to fire approximately 20 shots before overheating. A good trigger finger is key to mastering this gun, as without it, you're going to be outclassed by the many fully auto weapons in this game. The second free weapon is the DLT-19X, and if this weapon sounds familiar, it is. It's a direct variant of the DLT-19 Heavy Blaster, having its 40 small shots compressed into one singular powerful shot, and fitted with a scope. This is actually Battlefront's only true sniper, with the others being abilities with a set cooldown. Despite being a sniper, there is little recoil with this weapon, and no bullet curve whatsoever, making it pretty reliable at close ranges, as long as you can, to quote Ninja, hit your shots. If you don't have great accuracy, I suggest selecting another weapon, as this one's cooldown is extremely slow. Firing just one single shot causes it to overheat instantly, making it essential to have cover along with a cooling cell star card. The damage comes in at 100 to 67 with a rate of fire of 100 rounds per minute. At anywhere closer than 6 meters, you can kill anyone with a body shot, but a headshot from any distance will give you a sweet instant kill. Drop off ends at 80 meters, so unless you are confident with landing headshots, I advise closing the gap and focusing on body shots. Unlocking this weapon requires 3 targeting rifle streaks, 15 cycler rifle kills, and 15 headshots with any weapon of your choice. If I'm being honest, I don't really like this weapon that much. Closing in the gap is pretty challenging, and there are a lot more weapons that do it better than this one. Moving on to the Season Pass exclusive weapons, we have the DT-12 Blaster Pistol. This game's sound design was already incredible, but the sound design for this weapon in particular is just beautiful. Which one of you is responsible for this angelic weapon? I will make a whole video on your contribution to the franchise, I'm dead ass. This Rhodian weapon is Greedo's choice of blaster, dealing 40 to 16 damage with a rate of fire of 250 rounds per minute. Damage drop-off begins at 25 meters and ends at 40, with a cooling power of 14 shots. Despite this gun's extremely small size, it packs a punch, being able to kill enemies at ranges you wouldn't expect. I mean, in current day Battlefront, where everyone is just running around with E3s, I can still do pretty well with this weapon, even going 40-0 at one point. In order to unlock God's creation, Jabba assigns you with an easy 15 kills with any blaster pistol and 30 kills with a pistol on blast. The final weapon we will be looking at is the Relby V10 targeting rifle, a weapon heavily used by Bossk in the Clone Wars. Once again, I advise you to have a towel on standby when listening to the sound design of this weapon. Just like the DL-18, this weapon is semi-automatic, relying on your abilities with the trigger. This gun is very rewarding, however, as mastering your trigger finger may prevent you from playing the piano for a couple of weeks, but makes the Relby comparable with rifles such as the A280C. With a damage of 25 to 19 and a max of 350 rounds per minute, this weapon can kill enemies extremely quickly. While damage drop-off starts off quite close at only 10 meters, it ends at 60, making this weapon great for long ranges. With near perfect accuracy, you can either go up in the front lines or pick enemies off from afar. It's one of the most versatile weapons in the game and great fun to use. Overheating after 15 shots, this is definitely the best targeting rifle in the game, and would receive an injection of steroids 2 DLCs later. In order to unlock this weapon, you'll need to complete 3 targeting rifle streaks, 40 kills with any heavy blaster, and 15 kills with a targeting rifle. Unlike the blasters where half of them were free, only Season Pass owners can use these star cards. The first card being the Dioxis Grenade. This gas grenade releases a weak but poisonous toxin that damages players within the cloud's proximity. While this will do little in 1v1 encounters, it's great when throwing down near an objective, as the gas's 7-meter radius is bound to damage someone, especially objectives that require a player activation. This gas can go through shields, meaning that once all-powerful personal shield does sort of have a counter. If you are caught in the gas cloud, fear not, because you have around 7 to 15 seconds to get out of there. But if you are already low on health, you may want to just accept defeat. The base card is fairly easy to unlock, done by using 20 smoke grenades and blinding 20 enemies with the flash grenade. The upgraded version of the card, which requires you to get 25 kills with any explosive, use 20 cooling cells and eliminate 15 players with the Dioxis Grenade. The upgraded version reduces the cooldown from 35 to 30 seconds, but most notably, like all the other cards, looks cooler. The next star card is the Scattergun, another victim of the Nerf Everything fun from Battlefront 2015, an EA sequel. The Scattergun is a shotgun-like weapon, firing 3 solid bolts twice, killing enemies in one shot. This is great in close encounters, as if timed right, can kill an enemy before he even has a chance to fire at you. It works great in 1v1s, but using it on a group of enemies is a big mistake, as switching back to your primary weapon will shave precious seconds of time off. The neat thing about this weapon, along with the Dioxis grenade, is it serves a perfect counter to the personal shield. This weapon, just like the cycle rifle, penetrates shields, which means no shield popper is safe from you. In order to unlock the base card, you need 40 kills with the CA87 and to use 20 focus fire charges, which turns this weapon into a pump shotgun from Fortnite Season 1. The upgraded card tasks you with 3 shock blaster streaks, 15 shock blaster kills, and of course 30 kills with the scattergun. I cannot stress enough how good this card is, and it definitely makes you want to change up your loadout. The final card included in the DLC, and the only charge card, is the Adrenaline Stim, the first ability in the game to heal a player. When activated, the stim will heal the player if they are injured, and continue to heal them a brief moment after being shot. It is actually also possible to survive Darth Vader's first choke with this card, absolutely flabbergasting the Sith Lord. Nowadays, not many people run this card due to the back-to-bomb changing the meta. However, back when this card first came out, many people swapped it for the highly overused personal shield. Unlocking the base card requires 2,500 score and extraction, the Outer Rim DLC's exclusive mode. The upgraded card is as easy, requiring the use of 20 personal shields and 20 adrenaline stims. Overall, this DLC brought some great weapon inclusions to the roster, with the DT-12 and the Relby being highly used by the community. Play any game mode like Walker Assault or Cargo that has an activated objective, and you will see people using the Dioxis grenade. And the scattergun is even more popular, with its high damage to heroes and penetration of shields. Now, this DLC also included a brand new power-up to the game, the Disruptor Shot, a powerful rifle firing a condensed sphere of ion energy, killing players in its inner blast radius, heavily damaging heroes, and dealing tons of damage to vehicles. I think this has to be one of the better power-ups in the game. It may not have the multi-kill potential that the Thermal Imploder has,
It is not a myth.
but it can take off large chunks of health from heroes and vehicles. Back in the 2015 days, the community was a lot more divided on future maps added to the game. With gunplay being so engaging, many players preferred smaller maps that focused on smaller scale combat, such as your basic TDM. On the other hand, there were also the players who preferred the massive 20v20 battles, which allowed for heroes and vehicles on massive maps. And this seems crazy when looking at Battlefront 2. Small maps pretty much don't exist, and we're just cut off sections of the large scale maps. While other DLCs would deliver both small scale and big maps, this DLC would mainly focus on the smaller maps, while including heroes and a larger player cap. Game modes included were your standard Blast, Droid Run, and Cargo, fairly basic modes that let you focus on gunplay and maybe unlock some HUD contracts. One of the returning modes, Heroes vs Villains, was given some changes. In order to accommodate the larger lobby size, the game mode grew from 3v3 heroes to 4v4 heroes. But by far the standout mode was the brand new addition and Outer Rim exclusive, Extraction. The premise was simple: escort a payload of cargo through the map, reaching checkpoints to gain time. One thing I love is how the rebels finally get to be on the offensive side for a change. For the most part, large-scale game modes can be very one-sided, with the Empire having more powerful heroes and of course the abomination that is the ATST. I mean, Walker Assault is a clear example, with maps like Twilight on Hoth and Solace making the rebels fall back constantly in a vulnerable position. All DLC modes turn the tables, making the Empire stop the advancing rebels. Extraction features 3 main checkpoints that the shipment must pass through, the final ending the game with a rebel victory. Rebel hero pickups can be found around the map prior to the second checkpoint, while the Empire receives their hero pickups after the first checkpoint, allowing for a better defense of the final checkpoint. Once the heroes die, no new hero pickups will spawn, With a max cap of 2 heroes per side, it's extremely important to keep your hero alive as the rebels, and for the Empire to hunt down and kill the rebels' hero. Because if one side has a hero and the other doesn't, then that side is in complete control of the game. I really like this actually. Most players will get the hero and play extremely offensively due to the hero's powerful abilities. Heroes are the game changers of this mode, and playing defensively like heroes like Luke and Chewie are required. One strategy I've seen is the rebel heroes camping in spawn until the Imperial heroes spawn in. Then they can gun run the enemy heroes and secure the rebels a win. As the Empire, taking out the rebel heroes are key to success, as without them the rebels will struggle to defeat you. The DLC star cards are also quite useful in extraction. Throwing the Dioxis grenade at the shipment will prevent enemies from activating it, while the scattergun can stop anyone with a shield reaching the objective. Coming back to what I said in the beginning of the video, this DLC does not visit a single new planet, but instead presents us with new environments to already existing planets in the game. While these maps may not be as large and grand scale as the ones from Walker's Salt, they still are great inclusions to the game. Starting out with the main map, Jabba's Palace. This map revisits locations from the films, such as the entrance to Jabba's Palace, Jabba's Throne Room, and the Droid Torture Room. The map is filled with massive rooms, all interconnected with tiny narrow hallways that give little space for your camera. The attention to detail is great. You'll find Gamorrean guards dead and alive within jail cells on the map, along with the corpse of the Rancor in the cave underneath Jabba's throne. It's a shame we couldn't see the Rancor mechanics similar to Battlefront 2 2005, but I digress. This map is pretty cool. The next map on Tatooine is yet another section of Jabba's Palace, which shows us how big this thing is. The map is mostly indoors, showcasing more of Jabba's cluttered rooms and the sail barge. But we also get to see the exterior of the palace, which is mainly used in extraction. The outside of the palace is as cluttered as the inside, with random debris and junk located all around. I really like this map, as the outdoor section shows off the grand scale of the palace and just how complex it is. It is also, I believe, the first time we've seen Jabba's garage, so thanks to this DLC we got to see where he parks his sail barge. This map, while still possessing the small hallways, is a lot more open compared to the previous map, with the garage and outside being wide open. Moving on to Sullust, and we have the Surasu Pipelines, an absolutely beautiful map. I don't know if you guys remember, but there is a tutorial mission that has a Sunset Sullust, and I'm so happy they managed to bring a similar map into multiplayer because it just looks fabulous. The map is located on the cliff of a Sullustan refinery, high above the lava rivers, with pipes and hoses located all across the map, with various choke points throughout the map in really tight hallways. I'd say this is my favorite map to play on Extraction, just due to how visually pleasing it is. Enjoy it while you can, gentlemen. This is the closest we will get to Mustafar in Battlefront in a long time. The final map included in this DLC is the Surasu Refinery, yet another factory on Sullust. Yeah, I know, how original. And again, I quite like this map. This map is full of large machinery and is located within a massive lava cave. Streams of lava can be found around the map, burning you if you step on them. There's also a really cool Easter egg towards the end of the map where you get to see a Dianoga, the creature that tried to drown Luke in episode 4. That's pretty cool. These maps are pretty good inclusions to the game. If I had to choose a favorite, I'd probably say the Palace Garage, as it shows us a brand new part of Jabba's Palace while bringing us back to the Tatooine we're used to.
Matayan sitepe, ete sema matima. No pada yotonka.
Upon the release of the DLC, EA were getting absolutely battered for including such obscure characters in their first attempt at paid content. However, these skepticisms were put away after the community got their hands on these two heroes. heroes from the Outer Rim DLC had an advantage that the launch heroes didn't have at the time. Hero traits. These hero traits could be upgraded similar to the base infantry traits, allowing heroes to get damage buffs throughout the battle. Let's start this segment by taking a look at my personal favorite of the two, Greedo. Greedo is a Rhodian bounty hunter, most notable for his famous quote, "McClunky." Greedo comes to the franchise with the standard hero health pool of 1000, with his weapon of choice being the DT-12 blaster pistol. This version of the weapon deals 58 to 38 damage, with a rate of fire of 220 rounds per minute, although his weapon can be increased with his hero trait. Greedo's hero trait really does make him the monster he is, with his confidence building up depending on the amount of enemies he kills in a short period of time. Greedo is also surprisingly the fastest hero in the game and can edge out Luke in a race. His left ability is Confidence Blast. Similar to all of us asking out a girl to prom, Greedo needs confidence. Without any hero trait, his base grenade is the Dioxis grenade, followed by a thermal detonator at trait level 1, an impact grenade at trait level 2, and lastly a thermal imploder at trait level 3. This ability is perfect for Greedo, as it lets him constantly upgrade his grenades while in battle. His right ability is Precision Shot, which allows Greedo to mark up to 5 enemies and rapidly shoot them all with a powerful blaster bolt. This ability only works if the enemy is in his line of sight, meaning that if they duck behind cover or run behind them, the ability will miss. Greedo locks on the enemies before firing, giving them a special pop-up to take cover. His final ability is High Senses, which highlights enemy players through walls and barriers in a large radius. These enemies are only revealed to him and let him quickly gun down any hiding rebels. One detail I absolutely love is its activation animation. If Greedo reveals enemies, he will laugh. However, if no enemy is revealed by the ability, he will remain silent as he knows that you just wasted a precious ability. I personally love Greedo a lot. He may have a small health pool, but he's one of the most enjoyable heroes to use in the game. His powerful blaster matched with his constantly upgraded grenades make him a lethal threat. 9num is up next, and is again a community favorite. Just like Greedo, he has a health pool of 1000. His weapon of choice is an upgraded version of the DH-17 blaster pistol, which is one of the most underrated weapons in Battlefront 2015. It actually makes an appearance in Battlefront 2, but we already know how that went.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Deals 35 to 25 damage with a rate of fire of 450 rounds per minute. His left ability is the Rapid Pulse Cannon, a version of the Pulse Cannon that deals more damage, along with a faster cooldown and charge up time. This ability really goes against 9num's primary weapon. It lets the player decide what kind of approach to take when you play as 9num. You can either sit at the back of the map and use your sniper, or go up to the front lines with your extremely powerful pistol. His right ability is really cool, as it changes depending on the map you're playing. On smaller game modes, 9num is equipped with proximity mines, with up to 4 mines being deployed at one time. On larger maps, however, such as Walker Assault and Supremacy, the proximity mines are replaced with an orbital strike, allowing him to launch a strike which is active for longer and called in much faster. This thing is a beast and can allow you to kill a hero within one usage if played right. His final middle ability is an augmented turret, differing from the standard infantry turret by having a faster lock-on and higher damage. What's great about this turret is it actually upgrades alongside his hero trait. By dealing damage to enemies, his turret is upgraded, allowing it to deal more damage or even fire explosive rounds, making it great to place near an objective. I think 9num is all around a great hero. 2 abilities for long ranges and 1 plus his primary weapon for close ranges. Even with all the doubt in the community's mind before its release, the Outer Rim DLC was a massive success. Many players who had held back on purchasing the Season Pass could not resist the brand new weapons, modes, and heroes. With other improvements to the game such as the combat role and a separate DLC playlist for Season Pass owners, many people looked at this game's future quite brightly. I mean, if the one DLC that had already pre-existing planets was amazing, imagine the DLCs that brought completely new planets to the game. Fortunately for players, the second DLC was not far, as 3 months later, on June 21st, 2016, Season Pass owners would receive one of the greatest content updates, if not the greatest, in Battlefront history.
Attention, Bismuth. The Empire is attacking the city.
If you made it all the way to this point in the video, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this longer form content. I do hope that you enjoy the next one. See you guys next time.